Join with me today, we have our congressional delegation, Senator Reid, Senator Whitehouse, Congressman Amos. We have Mayor Hopkins, Mayor Smiley, Pete Butler from FTA Region 1, and Greg Cornett from Rhode Island Energy. This station is the first of its kind in the state, but not only the first in the state, but also the first in the region. It's a critical piece of infrastructure that supports our efforts to fully electrify the R line. And we could say confidently today that the 14 buses that we're running up and down are getting us there to make the line fully electric and zero emission. This is our highest frequency route. It comes from here up through Kennedy Plaza in Providence and goes through the Pawtucket Central Falls train station and ends at Roosevelt and Maine. There's buses that come every 10 minutes. So not only is it fast and frequent, but now it's clean as well. We've been phasing in these buses over the past 5-6 months, and thus far, we have saved nearly 30,000 gallons of diesel, and these buses have traveled over 138,000 miles. This project could not have been possible without the support of many folks, but the governor, who I will also condemn my condolences to his family, Speaker Shekarchi, Senate President Ruggiero, and the entire General Assembly for their support, but also our congressional delegation. Mayors Hopkins and Smiley, thank you both as well for your support and your partnership. This is one of many areas where we're working together, and I'm very thankful. We also have Pete Butler from Region 1, who's always helpful as we figure out the regs and helps figure out how to get things done. I also want to thank DEM and the Volkswagen Settlement Program, who is a big contributor to this project, and of course Rhode Island Energy. I also want to thank Bond Civil Utility, as well as all their subcontractors and designers, such as GM2, LIG, Arden. I also want to thank, of course, the building trades for building this thing. This is a very interesting project. This is a new technology. It develops every day. And so being able to figure out how much power we need to run the service was a fairly complicated process. We've had a team of engineers and helpers who kind of figured this out. We've got Glastein and Leandros in California who have helped us. They analyze all our road data to figure out what exactly we need from the technology. They looked at the different technology options. Fuss and O'Neill also helped us. They then took that information, sent it over to Rhode Island Energy. In those meetings between all those different stakeholders, you could tell we were breaking new ground. What we were looking at was different from anything that had ever been done before. We weren't going to the energy and saying, hey, look, this is how much power we need to win. We were giving them ranges, and that made them uncomfortable, but we all worked together to figure it out, and that's what it's going to take to move forward and solve the climate crisis. So I thank all those different groups for their support, because this could not have happened without all those efforts. I also want to thank God's Family Church, which is right behind us. They're our neighbors, and they were very, very helpful and welcoming as we did this project. I also want to thank the RIPTA employees. This was an active site for operations throughout construction. Buses were continuing to come through this property, and dispatch, drivers, supervision, everyone worked together to make sure that service was not disrupted while we built this facility. So I thank you all. To the entire RIPTA workforce, I thank you for your work. Enjoy this moment. It is well earned. Part of the funding for this project comes from the federal No and Low Emissions Program, and a piece of that includes workforce development funds, something that the bipartisan infrastructure law builds on. Those funds not only are helping us train our mechanics and get our mechanics the tools they need to do their jobs with this new technology, but it's also helping us launch our new permit training program to make sure we have drivers to drive the buses. So through these funds, we're not only building infrastructure like this, we're hiring the workforce to come in and do this and run this service. And that's another key piece of all this, is better service is going to mean more people out of their cars, more on transit, and better for the environment in total. I think this project is a good example of doing the right things the right way. This can lead to positive outcomes, such as fair wages, investments in cleaner transportation options, reducing our operating costs, and improving the overall reliability of RIPTA. With that, I am now very honored to introduce Senator Jack Reid.
Thanks very much, Chris. This is a beautiful day and a great day too, and I want to start off by commending Chris and everyone at RIPTA, the mechanics, the drivers, the office personnel. You're all part of a great team that makes us very proud of our state transit system. Let me also recognize my colleague, Senator Whitehouse and Congressman Amo, and Congressman Magaziner was going to be here, but with a small child, it's a little bit unpredictable, your timing. And then we've got our local leaders here and state leaders. Greg Mooring, thank you, Mr. Secretary, and Mayor Smiley and Mayor Hopkins, thank you, sir. And also thanks to Peter Butler, of the Regional Administrator of the Federal Transit Administration, and Greg Cornett from Rhode Island Energy. We all know that access to reliable transportation is key to employment, medical care, community access, etc. And we're lucky in Rhode Island because we have such a great system in RIPTA. But today's event marks a real milestone. It's a transition to a cleaner, more affordable transit system, more opportunities for people to get to where they want to go and must go. It will lower pollution and save dollars. And those are two factors that we cannot say more about. They are just terrific. Now, this state-of-the-art charging facility will supply power for a fleet of 14 new electric buses. And this is, as Chris said, the most frequently traveled route. Takes you from here all the way up through Providence into the north part of the state. And it's good to be back home for me in Cranston today, because I'm old enough, I don't think you're old enough, Ken, to remember when that was the Palace Theater, not a church. But we thank the church, as Chris did, for their cooperation and help. This is vital for an electric fleet. You have to have charging stations, you have to have opportunities to keep the buses rolling, and this will do it. As Chris pointed out, a significant aspect of this funding was from the bipartisan infrastructure law, which President Biden got through the Congress. His predecessor promised an infrastructure law, couldn't deliver. President Biden delivered on a bipartisan basis. And from that law, we're going to have a much, much brighter future, both in terms of saving money, but also protecting our environment. Indeed, this line, the R line, complements what Chris and RIPTA is doing on Aquidneck Island. The goal there is, with the addition of 25 new electric buses, that the entire island will be serviced by electric transit. Indeed, our hope, and I think we'll achieve it, is we'll be the first state in the country with an entirely electric transit system. And we are not going to stop in Washington, and I know RIPTA is not going to stop until we accomplish that goal. So this is great. I also want to recognize, I think Councilman Gonzalez is here, and also Councilman Vargas. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Best wishes to all. Bueno, es un buen día. Es un día el último. Gracias. So thank you all very much. Chris, back to you. Or let me introduce Sheldon Whitehouse. No one has been more ahead of the curve in terms of climate change, alternate in the nation than Sheldon Whitehouse. So he should have been going first and I should have followed. But I'm older. Sheldon?
Jack, always good to be your junior colleague, and wonderful also to be here with Gabe Amo, who we're very excited to have in our delegation, to have Mayor Hopkins and Mayor Smiley here. Thank you, Administrator Butler. Thank you, Secretary of State Amoro, Councilman Espinal, Councilman Gonzalez, and also Bob Kells, late of state government many years ago, and Jim Leach from the RIPTA board. I'm glad that you guys are all here. Thank you to VW for getting caught polluting so that we have this money to add for EVs. And we are supporting it through federal funding, $22 million for charging infrastructure from the infrastructure law, $22 million for the Newport Middletown garage for RIPTA to get that island onto electric buses, $8.5 million just to expand RIPTA service recently. And by the way, we're also working on the school bus fleet as well as the transport bus fleet, and more communities are transitioning. Makes a big difference, super locally, because along the R Street line, this means less pollution for the people who live and work there and have to breathe that air. And that does make a difference. We have very high asthma rates, and we need to address that by reducing our pollution. And at the global scale, this means every single time one of these runs, it's less CO2 emissions, less climate change, less danger to Rhode Island's coasts, and less drama and chaos from a world climate that is heading off the rails if we don't act soon. So it's a happy day in a lot of respects, and the sun is shining. And with that, let me turn it over to the newest member of our delegation, Gabe Amo.
Well, thank you, Senator Whitehouse. First, would certainly love to acknowledge RIPTA Interim CEO Chris Duran for your leadership, along with the leadership of all of the workers at RIPTA. We are not here without you. We're grateful for you, and I have a deep appreciation for everything you do every day. Certainly, I'm grateful to be part of the best congressional delegation in the country. So, Senator Reid, thank you for your leadership. Senator Whitehouse, thank you for your leadership, and certainly in absentia, great appreciation for my friend, Congressman Magaziner. Both mayors, Hopkins and Smiley, great to be with you, and of course great to have federal partners from the Federal Transit Administration here as well, and Rhode Island Energy. We've heard a lot today about this electric bus inline charging station as a critical connection for communities in Providence and Cranston and Pawtucket. I know the R line well. I remember when the R line wasn't called the R line, it was the 99, and I spent a lot of time on it as a teenager. And to me, this is a significant accomplishment today because it is the definition of a win-win-win. It allows buses to charge faster and more conveniently. It helps us meet our state and federal emissions goals, and it broadens access to clean transportation for all communities. And make no mistake, everybody, today is about better buses, cleaner air, and healthier residents. It's about investing in a cleaner environment for our hardworking union bus drivers. And a large reason why we're able to do that is because of the leadership of our senators here, who helped pass, along with the leadership of President Joe Biden, the bipartisan infrastructure law. And thanks to this transformational legislation, Rhode Island is expected to receive $23 million over 5 years to expand electric vehicle charging infrastructure. We're also on track to receive $5 million for clean transit buses and bus service improvements through the Department of Transportation. So I'm proud today. I'm proud to see Rhode Island step up as a leader in the green economy, focusing on initiatives that improve air quality and advance sustainable transportation. These efforts go hand in hand with improving access to and improving the quality of public transportation for Rhode Islanders who rely on it. So again, today is a win-win-win, and I look forward to continuing to work with state, local, and federal leaders to deliver electric vehicle improvements and action on climate change led by people like our great Senator Sheldon Whitehouse for the Ocean State. So with that, I will turn it over to the mayor of the great city of Cranston, Ken Hopkins.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Congressman. It's my good friend, Senator Reid from Cranston. My good friend, Sheldon Whitehouse. Thank you for your participation, as well as my good friend, Brett Smiley, Mayor of Providence. I have a birthday coming up pretty soon, and my children said that they were going to buy me an electric razor, an electric hairdryer, and an electric chair. And I said, well, I can do with 2 of the 3 anyway. But again, with electricity being the theme of the day, I want to thank you for joining us on this beautiful morning here with these blue skies. This is Cranston, by the way. You're sitting in Cranston on this side of the fence. So I am welcoming you to this beautiful city. The station's grand opening marks a significant milestone in our efforts to mitigate emissions along with critical bus routes in our state. As mentioned, the charging stations is located right in the most frequently used route connecting the cities of Cranston, Providence, and Pawtucket. By bolstering this connection between Cranston and our neighbors, this station will contribute to both environmental and economic advantages for all. I'm thrilled to know that this electric fleet has already been providing essential transportation for residents going to work, doctor's appointments, and more, with limited impact on the quality of life for those who live around this station. Electrifying this route helps to lower emissions along this corridor, where low-income and diverse communities have been previously affected by air pollution. With the opening of this station, we are taking a large leap towards advancing Rhode Island's public transportation infrastructure, as well as our state's commitment to cleaner air quality and sustainability. Thank you to our congressional delegation, especially to Senator Reid and his members of the fellow Association of the Appropriations Committee that he serves, for the funding for this project. We are immensely grateful for the hard work and dedication of our local teams, engineers, and construction crews who have worked tirelessly to bring this project to fruition. Your efforts have not gone unnoticed and are deeply appreciated by all of us. This is only the beginning, and with continued collaboration and innovation, we can make Cranston and the entire state of Rhode Island a leader in sustainable urban living. Once again, thank you for being here today. As always, one Cranston, one heartbeat. And now it is my pleasure to introduce my fellow mayor, my good friend and my neighbor, Mayor Brett Smiley.
Thank you, Mayor. I brought my passport this morning and came across city lines. I'm very excited to be in Cranston by about 50 feet. Other side of that fence, the mayor felt compelled to point out that Senator Reid is from Cranston, but Congressman Amo is from Providence. We're very grateful to all the government leaders who made this happen today. Our congressional delegation who continues to deliver for Rhode Island, thank you. Two colleagues from Providence City Government, Councilman Pedro Espinal and Councilman John Goncalves, who also believe in all of the work that we're doing to combat climate change and to electrify as much as we can in the city of Providence, and certainly the resources that we all depend on, starting with and especially RIPTA. We know that the city of Providence, our residents and visitors, depend heavily on what you do with Kennedy Plaza being on our front doorstep. These electric buses have already improved the quality of life for all of those who rely on the transit system and for those of us who live next to it, and so thank you. I want to also thank the leaders and membership of both ATU 618 and Local 808 for what they do every day, hardworking men and women, to both provide vital transit service to our residents, but also the good service and good jobs that they provide to our neighbors and residents. And finally, to the folks at Rhode Island Energy, your partnership on this and on so many other things is vital. We can't do this without you, and so under the new leadership of Greg Cormett and some of the longstanding leadership, including Brian Schuster, we are so grateful for the ways in which they're helping us solve our various challenges as we transition to a clean economy, a clean energy future. In the city of Providence, we are leading the way in Rhode Island, at least amongst municipalities, in terms of decarbonizing our buildings. Not too long ago, many of these same folks were with us when we cut the ribbon on electric school buses, as Senator Whitehouse pointed out. This is the way of the future, and it's exciting that Rhode Island is leading the way. All of this is possible because of the substantial federal resources that have been made available in the Biden administration under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act. So many good programs that are being put to work on a daily basis in Providence and throughout the state. Locally, at least as pertains to transportation projects, that's being led by Peter Butler from FTA, who I'd like to welcome to the podium now. Peter?
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. It's a great day to be in Rhode Island. On behalf of Secretary Buttigieg and Acting FTA Administrator Vanderpool, I'm so very excited to be here to celebrate the opening of RIPTA's first inline battery electric bus charging station. As a result of your federal delegation's support of the bipartisan infrastructure law, RIPTA is well positioned to move forward with electrifying its bus fleet. I'd like to give a special thank you to Chris Durand and the amazing team at RIPTA for bringing this project across the finish line. Today, Rhode Island has completed a project that will transform our transportation system while protecting our air, our water, and our shared future. At FTA, it is our job to shepherd that innovation, to help fund those steps forward, and to celebrate the future you will build for us. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, President of Rhode Island Energy, Greg Cornett. Greg?
Good morning. Thank you to our congressional delegation, to Mayor Smiley and Hopkins, Administrator Butler, and Interim CEO Duran for your leadership and support as we work to decarbonize the transportation sector here in Rhode Island. Our Rhode Island Energy team is very proud to serve such a vital role in powering the Ocean State, and we're very proud of our long-standing partnership with RIPTA. RIPTA was one of our first customers to take advantage of our suite of EV programs put in place back in 2018. Those programs have enabled RIPTA to install 10 charging stations, participate in a fleet advisory services program, take advantage of fast charging demand discount programs, and of course to build this fantastic facility, which I'm sure is the first of many inline charging stations to come in the state. Through our EV pilot programs at Rhode Island Energy, we have installed over 530 charging ports across the Ocean State, working with local customers who have fleets to evaluate and transition their vehicles to electrified options, and successfully piloted an off-peak incentive program that has shifted over 200,000 kilowatt hours of energy from peak times when demand is high, which helps to reduce the strain on the grid and helps us to test new strategies to address EV loads. We are excited and look forward to continuing in our evolving partnership in furtherance of our shared pursuit of a cleaner future for Rhode Island. Thank you again. Chris?
Thank you, Greg, and thank you all again. I thank again our congressional delegation, our mayors. I thank Secretary Amore, councilmen. I also want to give a shout out to Karen Hazard from Local 808, Walter Melillo from ATU 618, Carlos Giggs down at the end of the way, directing traffic for us as Vice President of 618. And thank you all. Thank you all again. Again, all the workers who helped build this, all the RIPTA employees, Bond, and all your subcontractors. Thank you all. This couldn't have happened without you. Now, I would like our group to come over and cut the ribbon.